What's happening, everybody? Bob Wankel, CrossingBroad.com. The NFC Championship game is almost upon us. Packers, 49ers, two of the NFL's most storied teams squaring off with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Which team will cover the spread? Some of our recommended bets coming up in just a minute. But before we do that, if you're looking to bet on the action in this football game, head over to CrossingBroad.com/DK. Download DraftKings Sportsbook. They will give you up to a $500 risk-free first bet and also give you up to a $500 first deposit match. That's $1,000 of potential promos if you download DraftKings Sportsbook. Also, be sure to check out FoxBet, CrossingBroad.com/FB. $20 just for signing up and up to a $100 first deposit match. All right, so these two teams got together back in late November. San Francisco got the best of Green Bay in that game, winning it by a 37-8 final. Are we going to have a different type of game this time around? Well, let's take a look here. Before we get into that, some things to know about the Green Bay Packers. They are 6-0 since that 37-8 loss back on November 24th. They earned the NFC's number 2 seed, knocked off Seattle to reach this game, have been playing better football down the stretch. One thing that the Packers will absolutely need to do in this contest is convert on third down. 37.79% this season, 19th in the NFL, and they were absolutely terrible on third down in the first meeting between these two teams, 1 for 15 overall. Aaron Rodgers, when he was on the field, 0 for 13. San Francisco defensive line was extremely disruptive in that football game, similar to what we saw against the Vikings last week. So Green Bay has to clean that up. And if they are to pull the upset in this one, they're going to have to continue the trend of executing in the red zone. The NFL's number 2 red zone offense in terms of converting touchdowns at 66%. San Francisco, meanwhile, not excellent at stopping teams inside the red zone. Number 20 in terms of limiting touchdowns once teams get inside the 20. Number 2 seeds, only 4-9 versus number 1 seeds in conference championship games going back to the 2003 season. So Green Bay will need to buck that trend in this one. As for the number 1 seed 49ers, you can make an argument that they are the most complete and balanced team left standing. You see here, San Francisco second in total defense this season, allowing just over 281 yards per game. 4th in total offense at 381.1 yards per game. I know that Aaron Rodgers is the superior quarterback. You're not going to get an argument from me on that one, but I will say this. Jimmy Garoppolo is 20-5 as a starter with the 49ers, and that's nothing to sneeze at. In terms of this San Francisco defensive line, you saw how deep it is, how versatile it is, and how relentless it is at getting after the quarterback. They were 5th in the NFL this season, totaling 48 sacks. They had 6 last week against Minnesota. If they can generate that type of pressure on Aaron Rodgers, it could be another long day for Green Bay, similar to what we saw back in late November. And again, just from a historical standpoint, since the 03 season, number 1 seeds are 17-5 in conference championship games, including a 12-1 record when favored by at least 4 points. Obviously, San Francisco more than a touchdown favorite in this game. So if history holds true, it's going to be San Francisco playing in Miami next month. All right, before we get to some betting trends and our recommended plays, let's take a look at the current odds in this football game. Green Bay opened as a 7-point underdog, total set at 45. Early action has pushed this spread up to 7.5 in favor of the 49ers. San Francisco minus 345 on the money line, total still sitting at 45 as we record this. If you like the Packers to win the football game straight up, plus 290 payout on Green Bay. All right, so let's take a look at some of the betting trends ahead of this game. Like we said, number 1 seeds are 17-5 in conference championship games, but they are only 12-10 ATS. So just because they win at a high rate doesn't necessarily mean that they cover at the same rate. They're also 6-7 ATS against number 2 seeds. Teams that won the previous head-to-head matchup by 14 plus points are only 13-22 ATS in playoff games after the wild card round, and only 1-7 against the spread in conference championship games. So this strongly points in favor of Green Bay coming back and playing a much more competitive game this time around. Also take a look here. Teams favored by 7 or more points, as San Francisco is, are only 25-37-1 ATS overall in the playoffs, and 15-30-1 ATS after the wild card round. 2-6 ATS in conference championship games. So the deeper that we get into the postseason, the less successful teams that are favored by 7+ points tend to be. So keep that in mind as well. Teams that are favored between 7 and 8 points exactly are 11-17-1 ATS in the postseason, 2-4 ATS in conference championship games. So I'm giving you a lot of numbers here that support a play on the Green Bay Packers. Something else to keep in mind, if that was not enough for you, postseason underdogs of 7+ points that are getting less than 50% of the public action are 27-13-1 against the spread, 26-1 ATS after the wild card round. That is outstanding play, outstanding trend, very strong, backing the underdogs in this contest. A lot of the early money on San Francisco, so keep an eye on that as the week progresses and we get into the weekend. And finally, Aaron Rodgers, 11-5-1 ATS in the postseason, 6-2-1 against the spread as an underdog, and 2-0 ATS as an underdog of at least 7 points. So he has also been, Aaron Rodgers, very successful in this spot. In terms of the total, my lean is that this thing is going to go over. And the over is 18-11-3 in conference championship round, including 10-5-2 when the total is set at 45 points or less. It's 4-2 when the total closes between 44 and 47 points, and 7-4-1 when both teams allow less than 19 points per game. These are two outstanding defenses in terms of limiting the opposition, putting points on the board. And so again, it actually goes over when you have two better defenses facing each other when you get deep into the postseason like this. In terms of what we're going to play on this game, some recommended bets that we have for you, I actually think that Green Bay can hang in here. I kind of sense that they are going to cover the spread in this game, but I do not see a scenario in which number 1 seed San Francisco at home with this defensive line, the way that they run the football, the way that Kyle Shanahan calls plays, I believe that the Niners are going to win this game, but it won't be a blowout. So I'm going to actually try to maximize my payout. I'm going to go over to FanDuel, crossingbroad.com/FD. Get FanDuel Sportsbook. Take the Niners to win by 1 to 13 points plus 140 payout. I also like the over in this contest. I can get it over 45 with FoxBet, crossingbroad.com/FB. And at FoxBet, I also like George Kittle to score. He had 6 catches for 129 yards and a score in the first meeting between these two teams. He's only scored 1 touchdown over his last 4 games. They tried to get him in against the Vikings, couldn't do it. I think he's successful this time. You can cash a plus 120 payout on George Kittle to reach the end zone. So again, over 45 is our primary play. Like the 49ers to win the game. Would take the Packers to cover, but we really do like getting the 49ers 1 to 13 points with the plus 140 payout over at FanDuel. So once again, if you are looking to bet on the conference championship round action, head over to crossingbroad.com. Be sure to check out all of our great content. We have videos, we have in-depth previews of both football games, but also head over to crossingbroad.com/DK. Get DraftKings Sportsbook, $500 risk-free first bet and up to $500 deposit match for new users. Also, be sure to check out FoxBet, crossingbroad.com/FB. They'll give you $20 just for signing up and up to $100 in a first deposit match. All right, so those are our picks for Conference Championship Weekend. Who do you like? Leave a comment below. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to our videos. And be sure to check out crossingbroad.com for all the latest betting advice articles on all of the most important sporting events.